create something new and something really impactful, you have to steer your own ship, and you can't just rely on the advice of outside advisors and mentors, which are very valuable to every organization, but they can't guide your ship. You need to do that for yourself. It always is, right? 25 years to an overnight success.
Yeah.
And that's just, it happens out. Nobody sees the 25 years, they see the overnight success. And I don't know, it's like always going back to that resiliency piece is super important. You need to find passion in the process. And when things get down, as you're saying, find ways to make that exciting for yourself as well. I love the comeback story. Those are the movies that I like to watch. Like, you know, you get beat down and then you get up and fight back. Like that's entrepreneur life all the time. This is going to be a little taste of our new teammate program initiative. It's a collaboration between 7 Movements and Ready in 5. We're both 2 Canadian startups. So this is like a taste of one of our daily movement sessions that people could participate in.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the blood flowing. So what I want you to do, we're going to start with big arm circles. And then we're going to squeeze those scaps together. So your shoulder blades, you got it, Shivi. And then get increasingly fast and narrow. So we're going to make small little circles as fast as you can, and then squeeze those fists. So we're really getting the blood out of our extremities, into our trunk, into our brain.
Breaking news on Shivi's show.
Another thing that I wanted to touch base here is your launch of your new podcast.
Oh, yes.
Right? So what it is, what is going to happen? Like, do you want to break the news?
Yeah, no, this will be announced on this show, and it's appropriate because Shivi is one of the people who inspired me to start my own podcast, and so it's going to be called In the Arena, and we're just going to be interviewing entrepreneurs and experts who are in their field doing the work. You know, they're in the arena. They're not up in the cheap seats criticizing everybody else. They're doing stuff, which is really exciting. So I'm just going to be interviewing them and having good conversations like this with awesome people. And I can't wait. It launches on June 14th.
Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode on the Startup Impact. I am Shivi, your host for the show. And today's guest can be best described as a business coach and a serial entrepreneur. He is currently a co-founder in 3 major companies, 7 Movements, Grid Performance, and 7 Days Healthy. So please help me in welcoming Dan Patton, who has spent 16 years as a health exercise coach and personal trainer and is a trained educator. He is also launching his new podcast named In the Arena. So Dan, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I am really excited that you are here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Shivi. I'm really excited about our conversation here today.
Oh yeah, and I still remember we were planning to do this last year when we had our first discussion in the winter, and I'm glad we are finally doing it. I remember it was amazing, it was inspiring, and I decided that why not to share it with our audience. Like, let's take advantage of your mindset here.
Well, I'm honored to be here and very excited to talk to you today.
Dan, when I was doing your intro, so I want to start from here because this was a question that came in my mind when I was doing your introduction. You wear so many different hats. You are an author of 2 amazing books. You are a co-founder of 3 companies. You are a business coach. You are health and wellness coach. You are an athlete. Oh my God, like amazing what all you do. How you do that?
Well, actually, that's a good question. I love doing all of those things, so that helps. That's a good place to start. And there's just so much crossover between all of them, from when I was spending a lot of time as a health coach and then transitioning into a business coach. A lot of the same challenges would come up for people around accountability and some of the challenges they maybe were facing, whether it be in their health or their business. So that was nice. And then I don't know, I love ideas. So and I love to take action on those ideas.
Yeah.
So that's how these companies get created.
I was thinking that what is Dan's routine? What is something that Dan's done in a day to make him go through the day and make him be the most productive, or even like, just to compartmentalize him into different channel to wear different hats at different point.
Right. Well, I can tell you this, like there's often definitely times where I have to block off time for certain tasks. But even talking with one of the groups I'm involved with the other day is I love the chaos. So I used to be the kind of person that read a lot of books, trying to build processes and habits into my life, like from all the successful people I was reading about, and they never really stuck with me. So I can tell you that my days, no 2 days ever look the same for me. I do have the odd routines, but really they're more principles I try and follow. I try and make sure I fit movement into my day, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in the morning or the evening or at a certain time. Try and stay healthy so I can actually have the energy to participate in all of these different things that I'm involved in. But I don't know, the big one for me that I had to learn along the way was just to really listen to myself, have some self-awareness, and be okay with no routine some days, because I can't have routine because, as you know, in operating any business, just a single business, there's just going to be issues that come up all the time. So when I have multiple businesses and then multiple clients with businesses, I just never know what's going to come. So whether we're fixing a website issue to strategizing about like long-term investment plans, every day's a little bit different, which makes it exciting and fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So did you always knew that you are gonna be an entrepreneur and you're gonna be your own boss? Like that was something that you always had in your mind before?
It's a really great question. So I grew up in a family that really valued stability. So I really grew up with the idea that I needed to go get a 9 to 5, good job, good salary, good pension, all of those things. But I never felt like I really fit to that mold very well. So I was always uncomfortable. And I worked for the government for a number of years, the ultimate 9 to 5. And I struggled in those environments to even perform well. My mental health struggled. So I needed to find a way to exercise my creativity. And that's when really entrepreneurship found me. And that's really what sort of, I guess, started it all. So yes and no. I guess early on, I always had that creative gene. I hated taking orders from people. So like that was sort of a pretty good tell that I probably wanted to be my own boss. But I kind of had this other side of me that was driving me into like a more traditional, like say a 9 to 5 stability, all of that kind of stuff. So a little bit of both happened with me.
Yeah, like isn't it like lucrative to just initially think and grasp that monthly paycheck that helps us, like 9 to 5 job, and after 5 we are just like done, we don't really care what's happening? While with entrepreneurship we are like, even if it is a break, we are always like doing something, like even on a holiday, even if we are not working, we are mentally typing an email. But that is what we signed up for. Exactly.
Well, that's a fun, like that's the excitement and the energy that comes with entrepreneurship. And along with that comes like potential for burnout and all of the other challenges that come with entrepreneurship. But yeah, that's the magic of it.
No, I'm glad that you touched this point, because this is what I was thinking to ask you, that like first, like tell us about your business a bit, and then I also want to touch base because you have like really pushed and started your business as a startup. So I also want to know your learning curve from there, Dan.
Okay.
So let's
Um,
start with your business first.
sure. Do we want to start with 7 movements?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to know 7 movements, and that's how I have known you always. And I know that it has helped me. So I want you to yeah, talk more about the 7 movements.
For sure. So 7 movements was born in 2013 as a result of me and my co-founder. We were both working as personal trainers and exercise professionals, and we just noticed a major gap in the fitness industry, in that we didn't feel it was serving or providing opportunity for people who were non-exercisers to get involved in exercise. And that's when we pioneered an exercise programming concept we call microdosing movement. And what that is we're basically breaking exercise down into little 7-minute chunks of movement. So for 7 movements, a microdose of movement is 7 minutes long, but it could be shorter than that. It could be a minute, it could be 3 minutes, but it's breaking it down into small chunks that you can do throughout the day. So one, it breaks up sedentary time, which is very dangerous for us all. And two, it's an invitation into movement for people who maybe see a 45-minute high intensity interval classes a little bit overwhelming to get started. So we created 7 movements. We started programming this way. We actually started by writing 2 books. We wrote a book called 7 Movements to Keep You Gardening for Life. And then we wrote a second book called 7 Movements to Keep You Pain-Free and Healthy in the Office. And it was all focused on this concept of using microdoses of movement to start fitting more movement into your day. And the idea sort of took off, and we obviously moved into the more digital age, and now our programs are online. We have, as you know, the Daily Dose program, where we deliver 4 of these microdoses each day to individuals so they can know they're hitting their exercise targets. And yeah, so we call it the exercise vitamin. So just like you might take a multivitamin to cover your baseline nutritional needs throughout the day, you do your daily dose of 7 movements to cover your baseline movement needs throughout the day. So it's been a very exciting journey. So many learnings along the way.
Absolutely, I'm
Oh
sure.
my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
share a couple of your learnings, and especially like the ones that nobody taught you. Like I'm sure we all go through a lot of accelerators and programs, but there's always something that we learn on our own. So
Yes.
share those tips.
Well, like, first of all, we went through a couple of accelerators and they were great. However, I think one of the biggest lessons I learned along the way was to, as an entrepreneur, if you want to create something new and something really impactful, you have to steer your own ship, and you can't just rely on the advice of outside advisors and mentors, which are very valuable to every organization, but they can't guide your ship. You need to do that for yourself. And so I went astray a few times, definitely with 7 movements, and started taking it in a direction that it was never meant to go. And had to learn the hard way that if we want to do this the way we really want to do it, we have to really take control and not reject that advice that we were getting, but to take it, but still go our own way. And so, like, that's the biggest piece of advice that I can give and have learned along the way, because I've lived it. I've gone the wrong direction so many times. Sometimes to my own, because of my own, I took it in the wrong direction, but quite often it was me taking advice from someone who didn't understand where we were trying to go with the business. They were just trying to be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. No, those are the reality, I would say.
Yes.
Right. That we have to undergo and learn throughout our course of journey when we decide to ride this roller coaster entrepreneurial life. But Dan, I really understand that these 7 movements is something that we need to do every day, and I did remember that you guided me through it. So I would like to take an advantage to ask that what are those 7 movements?
Well, what are the 7 movements themselves?
Yeah, what are those movements? Like what are those 7 things that is so impactful? And also talk about the book that you wrote on 7 movements. So how impactful is that?
Right. So the books themselves always they contain like one 7-minute 7 movement solution that someone could do. So the gardening book had a 7-minute solution you would do before you go in the garden to prepare your body for the rigors of gardening, so you'd feel a little bit better and not so sore. And then it had a post gardening 7-minute 7 movement program, and that one was intended to recover a bit and help the joints feel a little bit better so you could go back in the garden tomorrow and still feel good. So all of our 7-minute programming all have 7 little mini exercises in it that are intended really to make you feel better in the moment. So I'm not the brains of our exercise programming. That's my co-founder, John Sinclair. He's another Saskatchewan boy like me, but living down in Florida now. Lucky duck. And he can definitely walk you through the intricacies of the actual programming itself, because as you know, if you do one of these 7-minute sessions, you just feel better and it feels like magic.
Yeah. And this something that you talk more about in the wellness program in your business coaching? Is this something that right now currently the business needs at present, or what is something that I'm missing here?
Yeah. So you mean the businesses that I'm working with?
No, the business coaching, like you also help people to coach for their business. So
Yes.
it's something that you talk to people for their business and you help them coach, or is this something that I'm missing here?
No, like there are the odd business that I'll work with that need to implement something like 7 movements into their own life, because as entrepreneurs, they don't have a ton of time. So fitting in a bunch of little movement snacks throughout the day is super valuable to them. But it's not every entrepreneur, and some already have these like really great routines that they're already running through, so they're fitting a ton of movement into their day. But we often run into folks who are spending a little too much time, right at their computer here all day. And we can show them how we can use these little blocks of movement to not just feel better, but when you feel better, you perform better. So that's my sell to the entrepreneur is, you know what, when you feel better, you're actually going to do better work. Mm-hmm. So that's where I was interested in as entrepreneurs, right? Is how do we be better? And that's one way we can do it.
Right, absolutely. And especially from work from home era right now, like this is so important that I was just thinking that if we could have that capsule from you, that mantra from you that helps us in perform better, especially in the work from home environment. So what do you see right now is that people are lacking, or some businesses are lacking, that you provide helps to, and where is the gap basically?
It's kind of all over the place. I think one of the big challenges that I'm seeing in entrepreneur land right now is there is so much advice out there, particularly on social media. There's some bad actors in the entrepreneur space that are giving bad advice or unhelpful advice to entrepreneurs, and either selling it as this sort of easy lifestyle, passive income, idea of entrepreneurship, which if you're an entrepreneur, that's not the case. It's hard work. And then the second part is exercising your resiliency muscle and learning to be resilient, because if you're going to start your own thing and be really true to it, you're going to go through some serious trials and tribulations. You're going to go through some serious criticism. and you're going to have to be able to combat that. So where I end up usually seeing entrepreneurs is after the honeymoon phase of all of the excitement of starting the business, we've created this thing, and then they put it out into the market, and it's like you hear the chirps, the crickets, and it's like, uh-oh, what do I do now? So like that's when you need to bear down and figure that stuff out. So I've been helping a lot of entrepreneurs with messaging, clarifying their offer, really like standard business stuff. But on the personal side, it's always resiliency building. How do we exercise our resiliency muscles so when these situations come up, we can deal with them and actually push through them? Because some of the best entrepreneurs I know are just people who outweighted their competition. They just they just push through more doors than their competitors may have been willing to.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that you touched the point where we move away from the honeymoon phase, and that's where like the reality check happens. And second, that about building those resilience muscles. That's so super important at present to not let us go into that dip.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And just be willing to fight through that. And I always tell my entrepreneurs when they're doing well or they've had a really good month is to start thinking about like what would next month look like if it went to crickets again, and how are you going to react, and how are you going to like harness some of this energy that you're feeling right now and put it into that moment when things go silent for you, because they will.
Yeah, and this is what exactly I wanted to ask, that let's say if an entrepreneur reaches out to you and say like, okay, this is currently I'm going through, this is a silent moment for me. How would they be able to uplift themselves, and how would they be taking advantage of your learnings and understandings there?
Right.
Yeah. And the reason I'm asking this question is because so many entrepreneurs right now have reached out and they want to know as how not to go into that burnout phase.
Right. Well, I think the big thing to avoid burnout is make sure you're doing something you love, and like say exercise that resiliency muscle when things are good. So then when things get tougher, you actually have something to lean on. But to go back to sort of your original question, which was, sorry, could you ask that again? I want to make sure I got it right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to know that, let's say if an entrepreneur reaches out to you, if they are into their silent moment or not doing amazing at that point and reaches out to Dan for his help, what would be Dan's tip to them?
Right.
How could Dan help them to take them from that position of an entrepreneurship to a different level?
Right. Well, I think the big thing to remember, and like this is where there's a lot of crossover between my health coaching world and my business coaching world, is the solution to your problem is likely going to be very unique to you. And that's okay. So when we go searching for these solutions on Instagram, or you're part of like a masterclass, this big group of people, sometimes it's hard to find your unique path to success through that, because it gets so clouded with other people's opinions and what you should be doing. So I think my advice always is that your path forward is going to be very unique to you, and that's okay. And we're going to work together to find that unique path. And this is where I say there's some bad actors in this space sometimes, in that they're going, in my opinion, if you go to a business coach and they say, I have the solution for you, right? The formula that's going to work for you. Big red flag, big red flag, because they don't, because they don't even know you yet. And we need to do a better job of identifying that we're unique people with unique solutions, with unique businesses, with unique visions of that business. And so, I mean, for me to help that person is going to be, I'm going to have to get to know them and know their business and know where they want to take it.
Yeah. This This was great. This was my learning too, to be honest. Like, I learned it in a hard way, and had I wished I would have heard this before or met you before, I would have been into a different a pattern. But I guess this is exactly what we all go through in our learning curve, and that's the whole reason why I want to pick your brain here and to share your mindset here. So Dan, when you talked about wellness in the workplace, could you elaborate more there, and especially considering the pandemic era right now? So
Right.
how is wellness in workplace being an effective play here?
Yeah, for sure. Well, putting my seven movements hat back on, um, what we've seen in the workplace in particular, with people going remote and having to work from home, is that we're getting a reduction, even a greater reduction in movement throughout the day. And now we have an additional problem that generally people's home office setups aren't ergonomically set up properly as well. So now we're getting all kinds of pain issues and all of that kind of stuff. So, and then once you bring pain into the workplace, performance suffers, and then mental health suffers, and we get all of those challenges. And then the second really unique challenge that's come, well, it's actually been a historical challenge from the workplace wellness community, is engagement with employees. So, okay, now we had this wonderful, mindfulness workshop that came in. We did an hour session. It's amazing. I'm excited about it. 30 days later, oh, do you remember that wellness workshop that we did? That was really fun. Have you done any of that stuff in the last 30 days? Nah, I kind of forgot about it. So there's this challenge to engage employees meaningfully over a longer period of time to get them implementing some of these strategies into their day. So that's what we're trying to do at Seven Movements right now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Is it too much to ask, Dan, if you could get maybe a sample, an example about like a practical example as how we could be helped through this?
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to tell you about our newest project that we're running with Seven Movements? So we're collaborating with another startup, another great, actually, Canadian startup, and going to be offering a program that incorporates a daily live touch point with a Canadian athlete that'll get you moving for 5 minutes at a time throughout the day. And we're calling this program Teammate. So it's kind of like you have a teammate that's going to help guide you daily through helping you incorporate some of these wellness behaviors into your day. So yes, we're going to run wellness workshops and stuff like that virtually. But then you're going to have a daily touch point with one of these athletes to experience movement every day, as well as reflect on some of those wellness goals that you might have tried to implement in your day from one of our workshops. So we can actually, I think we have Dallas with us here today that could walk us through one of these sessions if you're willing to go through it with me.
Oh, absolutely. That would be amazing. Thank you so much, Dan, for making our audience see this visually so that it can actually help them. So thank you so much, Dan, for doing this. So Dan, you mean Dallas, who is here right now with us, he's going to give us a bit of a demonstration and talk more about it?
Yeah, so this is going to be a little taste of our new Teammate program initiative. It's a collaboration between Seven Movements and Ready in 5. We're both two Canadian startups. So this is like a taste of one of our daily movement sessions that people could participate in. And we've got Dallas here with us. He's going to give a little intro of who he is and walk us two through a little movement session.
Absolutely. Wow. It's a pleasure, Dallas, to have you here today. I am equally honored to have you today. So yeah, please help the audience know a bit about yourself.
Thanks, Shivi. Thanks, Dan. So what Ready in 5 is what we're really trying to do is just make people feel energized after meetings, because it's pretty easy these days to feel tired. And the program that we're running with Seven Movements is just the same thing. We'll just refuel your battery in 300 seconds. So my name's Dallas. I'm a Victorian basketball player, played at Camosun College. Don't know if you guys have been out to the West Coast, but I love it here. So why don't we get started? How's that sound?
Good.
All right. So to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to get into something called whole brain posture. So I'm going to get you guys to crisscross those hands, wheel those fingers, and interlace those fingers together. You can drop it into your lap. And then what I want you to do off camera, but your ankles, crisscross them like a yogi. So what we're doing here is we're activating a structure in the brain called the corpus callosum. So we're connecting both hemispheres for lateral thinking and more creative thinking. So what I'd like you guys to do, just to start the session, I want you to take 3 deep, slow breaths on your own time. Really fill those lungs up. And I'm going to start my timer here. All right, so to start the session, we're going to stay seated. We're just going to go and we're going to start with some neck circles. So start one side. And just really begin to notice where the tension is. You know, throughout our day, our neck is the one doing the heavy lifting, especially if we don't have our posture locked down. So switch sides. And this time when we switch sides, what I'd like you to do is really hunt for the tension. What area is really calling for a little extra time spent there? And what I'd like you to do is to start taking deep breaths and imagine sending that oxygen to that area. So what we're doing is we're activating what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. And we're signaling to our body it's okay to relax. And so we can use that energy in our brain. So what I'd like you guys to do now is just wave to the camera and put your hand down, stick it behind your back. What we're going to do is we're going to tilt our head and then tilt our chin toward our shoulder and get a nice stretch in the neck. We're focusing there a little bit today. So continue to get those deep breaths in. A few more breaths here. And what I'd like you to do is take your other hand and lightly place it on the top of your head. And really check your posture here. Just kind of sit up a little straight. And instead of pulling on your neck, you just want the weight of it to pull down with gravity here, just on the top of your head. If you have any impingements or anything, that's okay. You don't have to do this. Just go what's comfortable with you. All right, so just take a second here and just notice the difference on that side of your body. All right, okay, wave the other side. Hand down behind your back. And what I'd like you to do, tilt your head and then tilt your chin toward your shoulder. Big breaths here. A few more. And then we're going to take our hand again, place it on top of our head, and a nice little stretch. So big breaths, really oxygenating the blood. I think our brain is about 20% more oxygen demand than the rest of the body, according to the Cleveland Clinic. So big breaths. All right. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the blood flowing. So what I want you to do, we're going to start with big arm circles. And then we're going to squeeze those scaps together. So your shoulder blades, you got it, Shivi. And then get increasingly fast and narrow. So we're going to make small little circles as fast as you can. And then squeeze those fists. So we're really getting the blood out of our extremities, into our trunk, into our brain. Big breath. Okay, relax. And the same forward. So we're going to do some big arm circles here. Nice and big. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise the heart rate without getting too sweaty and gross. In fact, you really won't. So squeeze those arms, squeeze those fists, nice circles, and relax. Big breath. And then to finish, we're going to do that contralateral movement for brain connectivity. I like to say crisscross to connect. So crisscross those hands, and about 3 more big breaths. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to crisscross, interlace those fingers, crisscross those ankles again. And what I'd like you to do is take 3 deep breaths on your own time and notice the energy that you have. Notice the difference. But what I also want you to notice is maybe your body is trying to make you aware of something else. So later today, whatever that area is, give it a little love. And what you guys have just experienced is what Ready in 5, 7 movements, cognitive Kickstarter for your day. So thanks for joining me, and Dan and Shivi.
Amazing, Dallas. Thank you very much. Hopefully the people at home joined with us. So yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.
That was incredible, Dallas. Thank you. I am feeling like up right now. Great. Thank you, Dallas.
Excellent.
It was a pleasure to have you today.
Okay, well, hey, take care, guys.
Dan, to continue our conversation, and want to thank Dallas and Hugh for helping us to demonstrate this. I also wanted to pick your brain as when we see that this is the challenge that is happening, and when we overcome this challenge right now, do you think this is something that's going to help the community in total? Do you think that this is something that is going to uplift people and help more aspiring entrepreneurs to walk towards their vision and fulfill their goals?
So are we talking about kind of coming out of the pandemic right now?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good insight, and a really good question. I think, again, it's going to depend on the individual, right? I think there's a ton of people suffering right now who are going to really struggle coming out of this pandemic, and maybe, ambition and starting their own thing isn't front of mind because they don't even have the bandwidth to exercise any sort of creativity at this point. But I would say that, with every sort of major change that happens in society, which the pandemic certainly has done that, there's opportunity lying everywhere. So as an entrepreneur, it's a really exciting time because behaviors are changing. There's just different opportunities, and it's now's the time you could take advantage of some of that stuff, and hopefully folks will be able to grab onto their curiosities and creative gene and create something for themselves if they want to, right? I mean, that's not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think out of all of this, we've gotten a lot of time to think.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I wanted to know from you is that what is your vision with your different hats that you are wearing? What is your vision? Where do you see yourself ahead in 2021? Is there something exciting that's coming up, or something new that's happening in your world right now? What is something that you vision to do in 2021?
Yeah, well, I have obviously 7 movements, and this teammate project is very exciting. So we're really trying to make an impact on the workplace wellness space, while supporting Canadian athletes and just growing a really supportive community. So that's like just super exciting for me for 2021. And then of course I have my business coaching business, and it's been going very, very well. I had a waiting list for a little while, and now I've had to expand my business a little bit. I just find it so inspiring, exciting to work with all these different entrepreneurs doing different things. And each one I get to work with, I start to be able to connect with other ones that I'm working with, and build this little mini network of amazing entrepreneurs doing amazing things. So I'm just excited to expand that this year, and see all these awesome people making impact where their passions lie, which is super exciting.
Oh, I'm so excited to know that in the pandemic, actually your business is growing, and this is amazing to also know that your resilience, your courage, your way of paying forward has actually coming back into the picture right now. Dan, I also wanted to understand that because you just mentioned that you have grown your team right now. So right now in the pandemic, we have seen much job losses happening than ever before, either through oil and gas or maybe just because of pandemic. So there are a lot of job seekers right now. So what would be your tips to job seekers who are currently finding employment, as how and why and where they should actually look forward for them to secure an opportunity?
It's a really, really good question. And I sort of brought it up before, like not everybody's an entrepreneur, but anyone can bring creativity to the workplace. And like, that's what organizations are looking for right now, are hardworking people who are creative and can adapt and have some resiliency. So I think, as a job seeker, trying to showcase those intangibles to an organization is going to be super valuable. I know something that we look for when we're hiring, whether it be a freelancer or someone for the team, is creativity, resiliency, and courage. That's what we want. And then the fourth that is a non-starter is kindness. So are you a kind person who can exercise, courage and creativity? You're going to be, you're going to fit right in with our team. And by courage, I don't mean you got to go, jump off a building or something. You just need to be able to speak up, be authentic, and do your best. And I think hopefully that's what job seeker, and actually for an entrepreneurship angle on this, bring some of those juices to organizations, because a lot of them need it, right? How many of these large organizations right now are stagnant, are void of any sort of creativity? Man, they could use some people who can bring that to them. And if you can, you're gonna be valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. No, great points there. Be courageous, be authentic, the most important, and not just focus on the hard skills, but also focus on your human skills too. So
the hard skills are a given now. I argue that with a lot of the younger folks that I get to talk to around this issue. I'm like, well, hard skill, you have to have them.
Yeah,
it's like a non-starter. That's your baseline. You need to be good at your job. Mm-hmm. But what puts you over the top are all those intangibles that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Dan, I know I have asked this question to you before, but I'm trying to extract more information from you here. So what would be your tips to either to the aspiring entrepreneurs, or even to the seasonal entrepreneurs, or even to people, because right now when job seekers are looking for jobs, they're also trying to find their passion. So either they are going back to their 9-to-5 routine, or they want to start something new. And this is the opportunity that they want. So they are aspiring entrepreneurs there. So what would be Dan's tips to them?
Well, I guess there's kind of two questions there. One for the job seekers is, I think it's important to remember that part of that resiliency thing we were talking about is being able to find ways to bring passion to things that maybe you aren't that passionate about sometimes. And we experience this as entrepreneurs all the time because we have to do everything. And like for me, like finances and stuff, like, like I don't want to do it, but we have to. So you can find passion in that as an entrepreneur by, counting your dollars and counting your profits, which is always exciting. So from a job seeker perspective, I've seen this comment many times where it's like, well, I'm not sure I'm going to stick with this job because I'm not passionate about the work. And then you learn, like, they've been there for maybe 6 months, maybe 7 months. And I'm like, well, how do you know that you're not passionate about this? You're just getting started. So that resiliency piece involves that a little bit. And I think my advice to at least my entrepreneur friends, there's so many more seasoned entrepreneurs than me and super successful, but my advice to people who are starting out right now is to, and I'll go back to where we were talking at the beginning of this show, is find your own way and like really stay true to it if you can. It's not to reject advice. Advice is great, and all these tips and all that kind of stuff is great. But be okay with it being your way as well. And that's where all these awesome businesses are created. And because they went against the grain, they went against the advice, right?
Right. And what you mentioned before was so apt, so correct, that you need to be passionate about it, and not just passionate. You need to love what you are doing, because it's not gonna be the sunny days all the time. They're gonna be the rainy days too, and that's where it's going to uplift you if you really do what you want to do at that point. Because how many entrepreneurs have like decided to give up every day? But they don't. They move from their level to the next level, and that brings them to where they are today. And that's the reason probably a lot of way we probably hear this, that this is 25 years in making, right?
Well,
So,
yeah, it always is, right? 25 years to an overnight success.
yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
just, it happens out. Nobody sees the 25 years. They see the overnight success. And I don't know, it's like always going back to that resiliency piece is super important. You need to find passion in the process. And when things get down, as you're saying, find ways to make that exciting for yourself as well. I love the comeback story. Those are the movies that I like to watch. Like, you get beat down and then you get up and fight back. Like that's entrepreneur life all the time, is how do you keep moving forward when you keep falling down? But that's just, that's part of it. You got to find joy in that somehow, or
Right.
you're going to be miserable and you're going to get burned out and you're going to get sad. So that's why we need to talk about that in entrepreneurship a little bit more. We talk just about success sometimes, and we need to talk a little bit more about the grind.
Absolutely, Dan. And Dan, you have just given so much to the community here, so much knowledge and wisdom there. So I want you to take this opportunity and ask something from the community that is going to help you more successful, or that's going to help you bring closer to your goal, to your vision. Is there anything as a community that we can do to support you at this moment?
The one that comes to mind, I think, would be to go check out our teammate program. That's our workplace wellness initiative. Whether you're working from home or in the office, you can try it for free for 7 days and see if it's something that you think is going to enhance your well-being during the workday. Like that's if you can create an environment where your workday is serving your health rather than stealing from it, you're going to have such a head start on all of those well-being metrics that we are concerned about in the long term.
Right. And I would highly recommend everyone to please go and check it out. It is an amazing program, a great initiative, and super, super, super beneficial. So please go and check this out. Dan, another thing that I wanted to touch base here is your launch of your new podcast.
Oh, yes.
Right. So what it is, what is going to happen? Like, do you want to break the news?
Yeah, no, this will be announced on this show, and it's appropriate because Shivi is one of the people who inspired me to start my own podcast. And so it's going to be called In the Arena. And we're just going to be interviewing entrepreneurs and experts who are in their field doing the work, they're in the arena. They're not up in the cheap seats criticizing everybody else. They're doing stuff, which is really exciting. So I'm just going to be interviewing them and having good conversations like this with awesome people. And I can't wait. It launches on June 14th. And hopefully it's a rave success. But really for me, it's all about an excuse to talk to awesome people and hopefully pull out some gems of wisdom from folks.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Dan, for those kind words. I guess the inspiration was mutual here. And I cannot wait enough to hear your first episode. So let's say if we want to hear your first episodes, how and where we could find those podcasts.
Yeah, so the podcast will live on my business coaching website, which is timetotake-action-coaching.com. And yeah, there'll just be a little tab there for the In the Arena podcast, and all the episodes will live there. I'm assuming they'll end up on all the podcast distributors eventually as well. So yeah,
great. Congratulations. And this is the first time Dan is making this announcement. So I'm so
breaking news on Shivi's show. Amazing.
I know. This is our show's headline right now. Dan, tell us, if people wants to reach out to you or support you or take your help, how and where they could reach to you.
Yeah, you visit any one of my websites at 7movements.com, all spelled out, or timetotake-action-coaching.com. And if you want to email me, I'm just Dan at 7movements.com. Love to hear from anybody. I love just having conversations with entrepreneurs, learning about what they're doing and talking strategy and all the fun stuff we get to do as entrepreneurs.
Oh, great. Dan, before we end this show, is there anything that you want to share that probably I missed, or anything that is something that you want to talk about before we end the show?
No, I think you've done such a great job. We've covered so many different angles of entrepreneurship and job hunting and wellness in the workplace. And it's been really fun because, like I was telling you at the beginning, there's such crossover in that space. And I'm glad you were able to sort of bring that out. So I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, Dan. I again want to reiterate to this fact that Dan is the person to go if you are looking for anything in the wellness space, if you are looking for a business coach, or if you are even looking to go to your next step in your life. So just reach out to him, just talk to him, and I'm sure you're gonna be amazed by the giveaways that you'll get. So Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really had an inspiration and an exciting time with you today.
Oh, it's been an honor, Shivi. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you to everyone watching. Look forward to hearing from you. I do actually want to hear from you, and I want to set up a chat and talk health and business and all things fun.
Absolutely. I'm going to put all the details in the show details. So for my audience, please feel free to reach out to Dan. Thank you so much, Dan. It was a pleasure to have you today.
Amazing. Thank you so much.